Talk of death permeates the pages of this play. There's no doubt that it's a major theme. But one of the things that makes Shakespeare so impressive is how he gives his words twice the power they would usually have by doubling their meaning. When he wants to make us laugh, he uses a pun. And when he wants to create tension, he uses antithesis. To confuse or intrigue, he uses ambiguity. And his use of death in Romeo and Juliet is no exception. Sometimes the characters speak of death as a threat. Other times it's foreshadowing. Sometimes they are truly just overdramatic teenagers. But occasionally, they speak of death because they're flirting. Let's talk about death in Romeo and Juliet. Right from the start, Shakespeare toys with the language of death. The prologue states that, "From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life." This "take their life" is often misunderstood. It's not actually about the pair of star-crossed lovers taking their own lives at the end of the play. It's about them taking life / being born from the fatal loins of their parents. The fatal loins from which they are born, that's where their doomed destinies come from. Not from their love, but from their family's hate. Other times in the play, death is used as a threat. It takes Tybalt 2 lines to threaten his enemy with, "Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death." The prince uses it as a means of governance and control. "Once more, on pain of death, all men depart." And perhaps most disturbingly, after she has questioned his will, Capulet tells his only daughter to hang, beg, starve, die in the streets. "For by my soul, I'll ne'er acknowledge thee." With all the threats of death, it's no surprise that the characters' lines foreshadow the tragic end of the play, like when Romeo tempts fortune before his wedding. "Do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love-devouring death do what he dare. It is enough, I may but call her mine." Or in the reverse balcony scene, when Juliet, horrified, exclaims to Romeo, "O God, I have an ill-divining soul. Methinks I see thee now, thou art so low, as one dead, in the bottom of a tomb." And yes, sometimes the characters talking about death are just being overdramatic teenagers. "Go ask his name. If he be married, my grave is like to be my wedding bed." I know she just met him, but she's 13, so you know. So sometimes death is a threat. Sometimes it foreshadows. Sometimes it's for overdramatic expression. But a big reason why there is so much talk of death in this play is because for Shakespeare's audience, it's hot. Death and words like it were at this time a euphemism for climactic copulation. And since infatuation is striking these youths quicker than you can say it lightens, there is a lot of humor to be found in their impassioned blood. Some lines that use death in this way, the chorus tells us, "Now old desire doth in his deathbed lie, and young affection gapes to be his heir. That fair for which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched, is now not fair." In the balcony scene, Romeo rather salaciously tells Juliet, "My life were better ended by their hate than death prorogued wanting of thy love." As Benedict would say, there's a double meaning in that. In the reverse balcony, he teases Juliet while also hinting at what they just did by saying, "I have more care to stay than will to go. Come, death, and welcome. Juliet wills it so." And perhaps the most interesting is this line. Juliet says, "Give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun." It's beautiful language to be talking about when someone dies. But once you realize what the other meaning of die is, it starts to make sense. And depending on what source of the play you use, the line is sometimes written out as, "Give me my Romeo, and when I shall die." The Folger edition goes with the latter, the I shall die, and they explain it as this. Scholars interpret the passage both as Juliet's fantasy of sharing sexual climax with Romeo, according to the early modern use of die to refer to achievement of such climax, and as Juliet's premonition of their shared death. Like I said, Shakespeare doubles up the meaning of his words. And what makes this play so impressive is that it's still funny and spicy and powerful and haunting without the majority of modern readers even realizing this sexual subtext. But once you do realize it, it becomes a little more awkward, but it becomes way more impressive. But of course, you can't talk about death without talking about the end of the play. As everything falls apart around her, Juliet clutches a vial filled with poison and hope. She fears the mixture, which is supposed to render her comatose long enough to fake her death and be rescued by Romeo, might wear off too soon. Fresh off her cousin's entombment, Juliet knows where she is going. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault, to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die strangled? Surviving in the vault offers no relief. Trapped with hundreds of years' worth of ancestors and Tybalt festering in his shroud, Juliet fears her nerves will break. Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefathers' joints, and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage, with some great kinsman's bone, as with a club, dash out my desperate brains. A vision of Tybalt's ghost completes the monologue. With her cousin's vengeful spirit closing in, Juliet drinks the poison and crosses into the realm of the thought to be dead. Of course, Juliet's fate is crueler than anything her imagination can conjure. Students laugh when Romeo wonders aloud at Juliet's lifelike appearance, but his suspicion that death is amorous and keeps the Juliet here in the dark to be his paramour proves to be true. Friar Lawrence misses the star-crossed couple by mere moments because his old feet stumbled at graves. The tomb truly is a detestable maw that hungers for more food. In the end, the people who stood in the way of love are left with nothing but death. Without even realizing he's premature, Capulet, the man who once wielded the threat of death against the person who understood its too many meanings all too well, mourns, "Death is my son-in-law, death is my heir. My daughter he hath wedded, I will die, and leave him all, life, living, all is death's." Thank you so much for watching, everyone. You can check out these videos if you want to see more about Shakespeare. Leave any questions in the comments, and happy reading.